Imagine this. A tall, black and tan Doberman staring at you from behind the glass window. Are you intimidated or are you impressed? The Doberman Pinscher is standing there protecting her people and guarding her territory. How do I know this? Because I grew up with one and I'm a current Doberman Pinscher owner. Many of you have seen these dogs on TV or maybe even in person. Is your first thought fear? I don't share that fear. I actually hold the Doberman Pinscher in the highest regards. When I was a young girl of only 3 years old, my family got their first Doberman Pinscher. I've had many different breeds of dogs, but by far the Doberman has been the best family dog I have ever experienced. The purpose of this speech is to tell you about the history of the Doberman Pinscher. I will share with you the beginnings of the Doberman Pinscher, the military service of the Devil Dog, named by the Marine Corps in World War II, and the domesticated life of the Doberman Pinscher, and maybe some statistics on their actual lives. The Doberman was developed by a tax collector named Carl Frederick Louis Doberman around 1890. According to the book, Getting to Know the Doberman Pinschers by the American Kennel Club, this breed was a combination of many different breeds. The list, and it's a long list, it may include some of the following dogs: the German Pinscher, the Rottweiler, the Greyhound, the Weimaraner, the Manchester Terrier, the Great Dane, the Old German Shepherd Dog, the German Short-Haired Pointer, just to name a few, and there are still many more that are out there. Although it's unknown of the exact mix of the dog, most people believe that there's only 4 breeds in this animal, or in this dog, but nobody will ever know. So I guess you could say that Mr. Doberman left us one of the greatest mysteries in the world. The dog was created primarily to protect Mr. Doberman. While he was out collecting taxes in the town of Apolde, Germany, he needed an animal that would protect him during his route. The dog was created as a working dog, and typically working dogs would have their tails clipped so that their tails wouldn't get in the way while they were working. And the ears were cropped because it would allow sound localization for a more effectiveness of hearing what's going on around them. So I guess you can say the dog's ears have always been clipped their whole life because Mr. Doberman was their creator, and they've always had their ears clipped. So that's exactly how he wanted those dogs to look. The Doberman is one of the dogs that have served our country in war times, and for as far back as World War I. Although there's not a whole lot of information from World War I, World War II has a lot of information and statistics about this dog, about how many lives they saved, and just their feats of, I guess, bravery. Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, was home of the Marine Corps dog training school that started in 1942, where 75% of the dogs were actually Doberman Pinschers. The Doberman during this time actually became the Marine Corps' official dog. There were dogs the dogs went through 6 weeks of basic training where they learned strict obedience classes, and then after the classes of obedience, what they did was they split them off into 3 specialized training fields so that when they went over to war they would have a specialization to work with. The first was scouts. They were actually trained to detect landmines and enemies in the war. The second one was the messengers, which would follow the handlers, because typically war dogs would have 2 handlers, so they would follow the handlers back and forth carrying messages and supplies as necessary. And then the third one was the infantry, and these dogs were actually trained to alert enemy presence. So although they were trained not to bark, they did have ways to signal that they were trained to let them know when there was an enemy in their area. The protection instinct of this dog really actually shines through in the statistics from World War II. Then it might even amaze you to know one of the examples was that I was actually surprised about was a war dog platoon, which is a platoon that carried a dog with them at all times, was actually never infiltrated by the Japanese. Amazing. These dogs were never ever let their people be hurt while within the platoon because they are just their instinct for protection is that high. An instance also was given that these Dobermans alerted their handlers of troops about 1.5 miles away. And the last thing I need to talk to you about would be the domestication of the Doberman. This is my favorite part, and this I could probably do with my hands tied behind my back, but I have a few statistics with you. So I'm going to share some of that with you. The dog as a family dog has a bad reputation. And if you've ever seen the movie Up, the dog Alpha, which is a Doberman in the dog, depicts a Doberman that is mean and dumb. This is as far from the truth of a Doberman as you could get. These dogs are very intelligent, they're very loving, and they're very loyal. As a family dog, they're smart, trainable, they're excellent with children. According to the CDC, between 1979 and 1998, this dog has been the cause of less fatalities in humans than other more popular family dogs. Some of the examples of the dogs that have a higher fatality rate with humans would be the German Shepherd, the Rottweiler, and some kind of a husky mixed dog. These dogs also show less aggression than some of the other more popular breeds, which would be the Great Dane, the Cocker Spaniel, and even the Dalmatian. Doberman was ranked in intelligence according to the study done by Heart and Heart in 1985, and they were ranked first, and they were also first in trainability in 1980 by Tortora. So I guess you could say with a brilliant, lovable dog that will protect your family to the end, why wouldn't anybody have one of these dogs? In conclusion, I gave you a lot of information on the history of the Doberman Pinscher, which I hope will change your view of this amazing dog. And the next time you see one, you're not so afraid. I've given you the opportunity to hear the history of the dog, the creation of the creation of the dog, and why the reason the dog was created was for protection, and the fact that he served so many people in wartime. Although she has a bad reputation in the public eye, the truth is if you ever have a chance to own one, you'll be amazed every day at how loving, loyal, and intelligent this dog can be. I feel like my experience growing up with a Doberman and being a current owner of one gives me knowledge and allows me to share with you all the wonderful history